Hi, this is Laurel, and I'm here to talk to you about making stamps. And this is a stamp that I'm going to replicate. I originally made this just a little flower design, and then I converted it into what I call the cowrie shell design, which has become a really popular design for my canvas rugs. But what I had to do was I would stamp this and then I would paint over to give the detail to make it look like a cowrie shell. So now I've decided that I'm going to make a new stamp. So what I use is this foam. This foam has got a sticky back, and you can see it's very thin. So what I do is I take 2 pages and I put one on top of the other. And then that's going to get me a thicker base for my stamp, which I've done here on this orange stamp. And I have my stamp on top of a cutting board. And since I'm going to replicate the size, I put it on top and I drew it with my marker. And I've already cut one side, and now I'm going to cut the other side. Okay, so now I have the base for my stamp. And I'm going to cut another one because this is where I'm going to take my design from. Now, how am I going to get this design onto this? Well, I'm going to show you a technique that I use for the stamping, and that is using a sponge brush, okay? And the reason when you are using painting your stamps, you want something that is going to evenly spread the paint over the stamp. If you have something like a brush with bristles, those bristles are going to go in between and around and in between the stamp, and that's not what you want. You want the paint to only go on the part that you want to stamp. So I use these brushes. Now you can see this stamp is quite old. It's hardly has any raise to it at all. I only used one of these sheets to begin with, okay? It was very thin, and it's literally been pressed hundreds and hundreds of times. So it's just flat. It's just flat. There's no raise to it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip my brush into the paint, and I'm going to cover the stamp. Okay, this isn't going to stamp that well because, like I said, it's pretty flat. There's no raise to it. It's not raised up from the base at all. And when you do start stamping, the first one, it's kind of like when you're making pancakes, you know, the first one just never really comes out the right way. So I always like to stamp on, you know, a piece of material first. But I'm doing this because I want to get this design onto this. So I'm just going to flip it over. And then you always press it straight down. Never stand away and push, because then what's going to happen is you're going to push it away from you. You're going to slide that stamp. So you always want to be standing directly over your stamp and push flat down. Push around the edges. Okay, we're going to be doing a big rug with this stamp, with the new one. It's going to be a good workout. Okay. So now, like I say, the first pancake, right? So now when this dries, I'm going to cut out these pieces, but I'm going to change the design a little bit. Let's see if I can draw it. Because the cowrie shell actually goes like this. It has a little bit of a thing at the end. And I'll go ahead and keep those straight lines. Okay, and then after, when I paint it, I paint a little indentations in here. But for now, that's what I'm going to do. When this dries, then I'll come back. Sorry about that. and show you how I cut the stamp. And then we'll put it on this base, and then we'll be ready to go stamp the rug. Okay, here we are. I have cut out all of the pieces from the stamp. I positioned them on the base, and I left one to show you. They have the sticky back, remember? So I just pulled that off, and now I'm going to position it to where I want it on my stamp, and then I press it down. And that sticky back, it's, you know, it's not really sticky, so you can, like, if you need to readjust it or something, or if you want to lay them down and then reposition them, you can do that. But now I have it completely. Now my stamp is ready, okay? It has a nice thickness to it, so it's really raised high from the base. When I run the flat brush over it, it will only paint the parts of the stamp. And when I press down on it, then the stamp should just be very, very clear. Now, this is for a specific design, but I have made hundreds of stamps over the years. Okay, all different kinds of designs. I have hundreds and hundreds of different designs. I've used them on clothing, on canvas bags. This was one of my very first stamps. It's called a basket weave. I'll make a little video of all the rugs that I've stamped, but this is a really, really cool stamp because when you press it down, it looks like, here's a newer one. So here's the old one, completely flat, right? After hundreds of rugs. And so then I made a new one, okay? And also you can make these crisscross. Here's crisscross. And this is a large stamp. I made this for, you know, a large rug, an 8x10 rug, okay? And this is your square, and here's a nice little, really interesting one. So this can cover areas like your borders or your centers, and then have more colorful borders. And also, not only for canvas rugs, but this is a canvas bag that I made with all my different stamps. It was raw canvas that I make these bags, and then I tinted it with the same wash technique that I learned from making canvas rugs. And then I used a variety of all my different stamps and just stamped it in black. Of course, I could stamp it in many different colors, but I like this really natural look. And so stamps are really fun. They're really great for design, but they're also really fun, and you can make them all different sizes. Here's one with little palm trees. Here's one that's like a palm leaf. Here is the opposite. When I cut a stamp, I have the outline of the stamp as well. This is the outline of the stamp that I made, this flower stamp. So it's like a relief. And then I cut some little pieces to put in the center, and it makes a really pretty design as well. So every time you make a stamp, you're also making the opposite. Okay, I don't have, well, I've got tons and tons. Like this one, for instance, okay? Then I also have the stamp that goes inside. All right, so every time you cut a stamp, you are really cutting two stamps. All right, so that's my little ditty on how to make stamps. I will make a video about stamping the cowrie shell rug and how we paint in. Now this has more the shape of the cowrie shell, but I'm also, after I stamp it, I'm going to paint some detail in the center, some little ridges, so it looks more like the cowrie shell. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll look forward to my little video about all the different rugs. The stamped basket weave is a beautiful design because it looks like a woven a mat, because when you do stamp, you can't always stamp exactly, you know, the pressure all over, and so there's always going to be these little patchy areas, which if you want a detailed design like this, you can paint over, a more solid paint, or you can leave it like it is in the basket weave design and makes it look like a woven mat. It's really, really cool technique. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and look forward to my next video at Laurel's Originals. Sign up for my email at laurelsoriginals.com. We have a raffle every 3 months. We actually give away canvas rugs. We paint them to the colors that you desire, and they're mailed to you for free. And we also have an email list for canvas rug crafters. So my 2 email lists, and join them both. They're really fun. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.